Afghanistan is a landlocked mountainous country located within South Asia and Central Asia. The country is the 41st largest in the world in size. Kabul is the capital and largest city of Afghanistan, located in the Kabul Province. Strategically located at the crossroads of major trade routes, Afghanistan has attracted a succession of invaders since the 6th century BCE. The Hindu Kush Mountains, running northeast to southwest across the country, divide it into three major regions: 1, the Central Highlands, which form part of the Himalayas and account for roughly two-thirds of the country's area. 2, the Southwestern Plateau, which accounts for one-fourth of the land. And 3, the smaller Northern Plains area, which contains the country's most fertile soil. Land elevations generally slope from northeast to southwest, following the general shape of the Hindu Kush Massif, from its highest point in the Pamir Mountains near the Chinese border to the lower elevations near the border with Iran. To the north, west, and southwest there are no mountain barriers to neighboring countries. The northern plains pass almost imperceptibly into the plains of Turkmenistan. In the west and southwest, the plateaus and deserts merge into those of Iran. Afghanistan is located on the Eurasian tectonic plate. The Wakhan Corridor and the rest of northeastern Afghanistan, including Kabul, are situated in a geologically active area. Over a dozen earthquakes occurred there during the 20th century. The greater part of the northern border and a small section of the border with Pakistan are marked by rivers. The remaining boundary lines are political rather than natural. The northern frontier extends approximately 1,689 kilometers southwestward, from the Pamir Mountains in the northeast to a region of hills and deserts in the west, at the border with Iran. The border with Iran runs generally southward from the Hari River across swamp and desert regions before reaching the northwestern tip of Pakistan. Its southern section crosses the Helmand River. Afghanistan is bounded by 6 different countries. Its longest border is the poorly marked Durand Line, accounting for its entire southern and eastern boundary with Pakistan. The shortest one, bordering China's Xinjiang province, is a mere 76 kilometers at the end of the Wakhan Corridor, a narrow sliver of land 241 kilometers long that extends eastward between Tajikistan and Pakistan. At its narrowest point it is only 11 kilometers wide. The border with Pakistan runs eastward from Iran through the Shughai Hills and the southern end of the Registan Desert, then northward through mountainous country. It then follows an irregular northeasterly course before reaching the Durand Line, established in 1893. This line continues on through mountainous regions to the Khyber Pass area. Beyond this point it rises to the crest of the Hindu Kush, which it follows eastward to the Pamir Mountains. The Durand Line divides the Pashtun tribes of the region between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Its creation has caused much dissatisfaction among Afghans and has given rise to political tensions between the two countries. Climate: in Afghanistan, climate is very cold in winters, and normal in summer. In the summer, temperature reaches about 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. Here is no great difference between the mean temperature of Afghanistan and that of the lower Himalaya. The lowest temperature record is -67 degrees Celsius in northern and highest record is 49.0 degrees Celsius record in 1997. Mountain systems: the Hindu Kush mountain range reaches a height of 7,492 m at Washak, Afghanistan's highest peak. Of the ranges extending southwestward from the Hindu Kush, the Fuladi peak of the Barber mountain range reaches the greatest height, 5,142 m. The Safed-Ko range, which includes the Tora-Bora area, dominates the border area southeast of Kabul. Important passes include the Unai Pass across the Safed-Ko, the Kushan and Saling passes through the Hindu Kush, and the Khyber Pass that connects Afghanistan with Pakistan. The summit of the Khyber Pass at 1,070 m at Landi Kotal, Pakistan is 5 kilometers east of the border town of Torkham. Other key passages through the mountainous Pakistan border include 2 from Paktika province into Pakistan's Waziristan region, one at Angurada, a village that straddles both sides of the border east of Shkin, and, further south, the Gumal River crossing, plus the Shughai River passage south of coast, Afghanistan, at Pakistan's Ulam Khan village into North Waziristan. The busy Pak-Afghan border crossing at Wesh, Afghanistan is in a flat and dry area, though this route involves Pakistan's Kojak Pass at 2,707 m just 14 kilometers from the border. The border connects Kandahar and Spin Boldak in Afghanistan with Quetta in Pakistan. The Wakhan corridor in the northeast lies between the Hindu Kush and the Pamir Mountains, which leads to the Waklir Pass into Xinjiang in China. Taking the highlands of the country as a whole, there is no great difference between the mean temperature of Afghanistan and that of the lower Himalaya. Each may be placed at a point between. However, the remarkable feature of Afghan climate is its extreme range of temperature within limited periods. The smallest daily range in the north is when the weather is cold. The greatest is when it is hot. For 7 months of the year this range exceeds 17 degrees Celsius daily. Waves of intense cold occur, lasting for several days, and one may have to endure a cold of 24 degrees Celsius, rising to a maximum of 8 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, the summer temperature is exceedingly high, especially in the Oasis regions, where a shade maximum of 50 degrees Celsius is not uncommon. At Kabul, and overall the northern part of the country to the descent at Gandamak, winter is rigorous, but especially so on the high Arghandab Plateau. In Kabul the snow lies for 2 or 3 months. The people seldom leave their houses, and sleep close to stoves. At Azzi the snow has been known to lie long beyond the vernal equinox. The thermometer sinks as low as 25 degrees Celsius, and tradition relates the destruction of the entire population of Azzi by snowstorms more than once. The summer heat is great in the Sistan Basin, Jalalabad and Turkestan, especially Sistan. All over Kandahar province the summer heat is intense, and the samum is not unknown. The hot season throughout this part of the country is rendered more trying by frequent dust storms and fiery winds. Whilst the bare rocky ridges that traverse the country, absorbing heat by day and radiating it by night, render the summer nights most oppressive. At Kabul the summer sun has great power, though the heat is tempered occasionally by cool breezes from the Hindu Kush, and the nights are usually cool. At Kandahar snow seldom falls on the plains or lower hills. When it does, it melts at once. Although Herat is approximately 240 m lower than Kandahar, the summer climate there is more temperate, and the climate throughout the year is far from disagreeable. From May to September, the wind blows from the northwest with great force, and this extends across the country to Kandahar. The winter is tolerably mild. Snow melts as it falls, and even on the mountains does not lie long. 3 years out of 4 at Herat it does not freeze hard enough for the people to store ice. Yet it was not very far from Herat, and could not have been at a greatly higher level that, in 1750, Ahmad Shah's army, retreating from Persia, is said to have lost 18,000 men from cold in a single night. In the northern Herat districts too, records of the coldest month show the mean minimum as 8 degrees Celsius and the maximum as 3 degrees Celsius. The eastern reaches of the Hari River, including the rapids, are frozen hard in the winter, and people travel on it as on a road. The summer rains that accompany the southwest monsoon in India, beating along the southern slopes of the Himalaya, travel up the Kabul Valley as far as Liman, though they are more clearly felt in Bajaur and Pandra, under the high spurs of the Hindu Kush, and in the eastern branches of Saft Ko. Rain also falls at this season at the head of Karam Valley. South of this the Suliman Mountains may be taken as the western limit of the monsoon's action. It is quite unfelt in the rest of Afghanistan, in which, as in all the west of Asia, the winter rains are the most considerable. The spring rain, though less copious, is more important to agriculture than the winter rain, unless where the latter falls in the form of snow. In the absence of monsoon influences there are steadier weather indications than in India. The northwest blizzards which occur in winter and spring are the most noticeable feature, and their influence is clearly felt on the Indian frontier. The cold is then intense and the force of the wind cyclonic. Speaking generally, the Afghanistan climate is a dry one. The sun shines with splendor for 3/4 of the year, and the nights are even more clear than the days. Marked characteristics are the great differences of summer and winter temperature and of day and night temperature, as well as the extent to which change of climate can be attained by slight change of place. The highest temperature ever recorded under standard conditions was 49.9 degrees Celsius at Nimroz in August 2009 and the lowest was a 52.2 degrees Celsius at Sharak in January 1964. The Emperor Baber observed, "Within a day's ride from Kabul it is possible to reach a place where snow never falls. But within 2 hours one can go where the snow never melts except in the rare summer so severe that all snow disappears." Both tropical and cold weather fruits are abundant in Kabul's dependencies, and they are nearby. Rivers and lakes. Afghanistan usually does not face much water shortage because it receives snow during winter and once that melts the water runs into numerous rivers, lakes, and streams, but most of its national water flows into neighboring countries. It loses about 2/3 of its water to neighboring Pakistan, Iran, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. The nation's drainage system is essentially landlocked. Most of the rivers and streams end in shallow desert lakes or oases inside or outside the country's boundaries. Nearly half of the state's total area is drained by watercourses south of the Hindu Kush Safed Ridge line, and half of this area is drained by the Helmand and its tributaries alone. The Darya on the northern border, the country's other major river, has the next largest drainage area. The 2,661 km long Darya originates in the glaciers of the Pamir Mountains in the northeast. Some 965 km of its upper course constitutes Afghanistan's border with Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Flowing in rapid torrents in its upper course, the Darya becomes calmer below the mouth of the Kokchal, 96 km west of Faizabad. The Kunduz River is another major tributary. During its flood period the upper course of the Darya, swollen by snow and melting ice, carries along much gravel and large boulders. The Helmand River is the principal river in the southwest, bisecting the entire region. Starting some 80 km west of Kabul in the Barber mountain range, the Helmand is approximately 1,400 km long, making it the longest river situated entirely within Afghanistan. With its many tributaries, the most important of which is the Arghandab River, it drains more than 298 km too. The Kabul River, 515 km long, is a vital source of water in the Barber Mountains and for Kabul itself, which it flows through. The Kabul and its tributaries are among the few in Afghanistan that eventually reach the sea, as it flows east into the Indus River in Pakistan. In the west the sandy deserts along most of the Iranian frontier have no water courses. However, in the northwest, the Hari and Morhab rivers flow into Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert. Vegetation. The characteristic distribution of vegetation on the mountains of Afghanistan is worthy of attention. The great mass of it is confined to the main ranges and their immediate offshoots, whilst on the more distant and terminal prolongations it is almost entirely absent. In fact, these are naked rock and stone. Take, for example, the Safetco. On the Alpine Range itself and its immediate branches, at a height of 1,800 3,000 m there is abundant growth of large forest trees, among which conifers are the most noble and prominent, such as Cedrus deodara, Abies excelsa, Pinus longifolium, Pinus pinister, stone pine and the larch. There is also the yew, the hazel, juniper, walnut, wild peach and almond. Growing under the shade of these are several varieties of rose, honeysuckle, currant, gooseberry, hawthorn, rhododendron and a luxuriant herbage, among which the ranunculus family is important for frequency and number of genera. The lemon and wild vine are also here met with, but are more common on the northern mountains. The walnut and oak descend to the secondary heights, where they become mixed with alder, ash, kinjak, arbor vitae, juniper, with species of astragalus, and c. Here also are indigare rhine dwarf laburnum. Down to 1,000 m there are wild olive, species of rock rose, wild privet, acacias and mimosas, barberry and ziziphus. And in the eastern ramifications of the chain, Nanreps richiana, bignonia or trumpet flower, sissu, Salvadora persica, verbena, acanthus, varieties of Gesnerae. The lowest terminal ridges, especially towards the west, are, as it has been said, naked in aspect. Their scanty vegetation is almost wholly herbal. Shrubs are only occasional. Trees almost non-existent. Labiate, composite and umbelliferous plants are most common. Ferns and mosses are almost confined to the higher ranges. In the low brushwoods scattered over portions of the dreary plains of the Kandahar tablelands, it is possible to find leguminous thorny plants of the papilionaceous suborder, such as camel thorn, astragalus and several varieties, spiny rest harrow, the fibrous roots of which often serve as a toothbrush. Plants of the suborder Mimosae, as the sensitive mimosa. A plant of the rue family, called by the natives lipad. The common wormwood. Also certain orchids, and several species of salsilla. The rue and wormwood are in general use as domestic medicines, the former for rheumatism and neuralgia. The latter in fever, debility and dyspepsia, as well as for a vermifuge. The lipad, owing to its heavy nauseous odor, is believed to keep off evil spirits. In some places, occupying the sides and hollows of ravines, it is found the rose bay, called in Persian Khazara, or asbane, the wild laburnum and various indigorae. In cultivated districts the chief trees seen are mulberry, willow, populus ash, and occasionally the plane. But these are because of man's planting. It should be noted that in the last several decades, 90% of forests in Afghanistan have been destroyed and much of the timber has been exported to neighboring Pakistan. As a result, large percent of Afghanistan's land could be subject to soil erosion and desertification. On the positive note, the Karzai administration and international organizations are helping counter this problem by often planting millions of saplings. The city of Kabul began to see maple trees being planted in the last decade. Gallery. See also, Environmental issues in Afghanistan, Valleys of Afghanistan. Notes. Further reading, 1911 Encyclopaedia Britannica, Physical Geography, Federal Research Division, Library of Congress. Afghanistan, A Country Study. 1997. 1. External links, Topographic Map of Afghanistan, Persia, Afghanistan and Balochistan is a map from 1897, Afghanistan, Balochistan, etc. is a map from 1893 created by the American Methodist Church.